Oh yeah, you totally see a beard outline here. I don't know. I've had rapid aging while watching this movie. I think I did. I may have also been through some other stuff while watching this movie because this movie fucking hurt. 50 Shades Darker is directed by James Foley, who's directed some good movies before and some good TV episodes as well for shows like House of Cards. And stars Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan as Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey respectively. And this movie takes place a few weeks after 50 Shades of Grey, in which Anna has moved on from Christian. Because if you remember the last movie, he spanked her many times and she was very upset by that. And so she walked out of his apartment and now she's trying to move on with her life to something else. However, he comes back into her life and he wants her back. He wants to be a changed person. So he does what he has to do and she says yes, and they're now in a relationship, all while darker things from Christian Grey's past are trying to haunt him in the present and threatening the relationship of Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey. Now look, before I go on with this review, I want to point out something. A lot of people in this fan base seem to think that by reading the books you suddenly know what the series is about and suddenly you will appreciate the movies a lot more, and that we critics are absolute idiots for not reading the books, because if we did, we would appreciate what's in this film and appreciate the filmmaking which has gone into it. I have a counter argument for you though, and that is it's a film. I shouldn't have to judge a film based on its book. A film is a film. Judge a film like a film. If there's something about a film that's not working, you can't go to the book and say, hey, the book did this. I don't give a shit what the book did when I'm in the theater. I am watching a movie. A movie is its own fucking thing. Harry Potter is not exactly following the books at all times. It's its own film series. So when you're watching the films, you appreciate them for what they are, not because the book had something to do with it. Judge a film like a film. Critics judge films on the basis of them being films, and if it somehow ends up respecting the source material, then great. But that's not how movies are judged. They're judged because they're films, and 50 Shades Darker was fucking horrible. I'm serious. I sat there 2 hours, or maybe it was 1 hour 55 minutes. I don't fucking know. It felt like 3 hours just waiting for a movie. There was no movie here. It just kept going on and on and on and on and on. I'm just waiting for something to happen, some kind of plot to kick in. That plot which I described to you in the beginning, that is somewhat the plot of the film. I mean, I guess, because it doesn't come into effect until later, and even then it doesn't really go anywhere with that plot, so fuck that plot. There are so many things about this film that are just so wrong. For starters, the acting. Some of the acting in this movie is fucking atrocious. Dakota Johnson is probably the one actor I can look at and say she wasn't the worst. She actually had some moments in this film that were not too bad, and I thought that was fine. She even had a funny line in the middle of a very spontaneous dialogue, which I actually laughed at. So good job, you actually had something. Everybody else, Jamie Dornan is as bland as ever when it comes to Christian Grey. He was awful. And it doesn't help the fact that the script is disgustingly bad. It is one of the worst scripts I have heard in cinematic history. The first one had a terrible script. This one just piles on that and makes it even worse. I hated that about this film. I sat there with some very cringe-inducing dialogue and 3 middle-aged women right next to me having the time of their lives, laughing and clapping along to it. Why? Another thing about this movie that so bothered me is the fact that it's trying to be an erotic thriller by adding in some action thriller elements. They even add in the helicopter sequence, which is supposed to heighten the tension by Christian Grey going missing all of a sudden, and the fact that, oh god, what happened? Is he okay? 2 minutes later, he shows up not just alive, but in the apartment where Anastasia is watching the television, worried out of her mind. What was the point of that tension if he's just gonna show up 2 minutes later like, I'm fine. You guys worried over nothing. Got you, didn't I? You know that girl who kept showing up at one point in time in the trailers and you kept thinking, where's that gonna go? That could be interesting. Yeah, she shows up a couple of times and then that subplot is diminished. It's over. It's somewhat interesting, it's built up, and then it goes nowhere. It's just There's also a horrible character who is Anna's boss at her new editing department. And from the first glance, he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a pretty innocent guy, pretty chill. He seems to be really cool. And then halfway through the movie, the guy becomes total creep and starts going crazy. Like, he'll put the door, he's like, I can fuck you way better than he can. But you already know some of this stuff is not gonna work. Let's talk about the stuff that is supposed to work. That is the sex scenes. There's a lot more sex scenes in this movie compared to the first one. Are they good? Absolutely not. They're fucking horrible even now. They were just terribly done. They were shot in a way to make it adhere to a specific audience, obviously, and they put some modern pop song over it. At one point, I think Taylor Swift started singing. I have no idea what that was about. But the point is, they try to make it in a way that it's trying to cater to the millennial audience as well as the audience of the novel, and it just comes off bland. None of the scenes were exciting. And you must be thinking, but you were sitting next to middle-aged women. I mean, they should have enjoyed the film, right? I mean, I'm sure they enjoyed the film. I don't think they enjoyed the sex scenes though. They did not look like they were having a good time with those sex scenes. Either way. Even the soundtrack to this movie, I didn't enjoy it. I liked the first one's soundtrack. At least that had some good stuff in it. Beyonce was on the first soundtrack. Couldn't you just get back Beyonce again for the second one? I'm sorry, I'm yelling about 50 Shades Darker. It sucks and I hate it. Fuck! Because I had... Shut up. Guys, in the end, all I'm gonna say is this. There are way better movies out this weekend. John Wick 2 was awesome. Lego Batman movie is amazing. Go watch these two movies. Do not go see 50 Shades Darker. I hated this movie, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is not a typical guy who's saying it, okay? I'm really being honest about this. This movie just didn't work. I'm gonna give 50 Shades Darker a 2 out of 10. You know what? Make that an F. Guys, go for something else. Just really go for something else. This is not worth your time. You guys are the best. Thank you so much as always for watching. If you like this, please subscribe and I will see you guys later.